The championship battle coming into this weekend. The championship leaders coming into the Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca in GTD. Al Carter and Cameron Lawrence. They are concentrating on the Tequila Patron North American Endurance Championship, which consists of 4 rounds during the season. The next one will be at Watkins Glen at the end of June, and then finishing off at Petit Le Mans later in the year at Road Atlanta. But they won the opening round at Daytona, the Rolex 24 at Daytona, the Classic 24-hour race, along with Ben Keating and also Dominic Farnbacher and Kuno Whitmer shared that winning car. But because Ben Keating, who is doing the full season championship along with Jeroen Bleekemolen, because he was not registered for points in the car that won the race, number 93 car, he only scored the 8th place points, which is where his car finished in the race, but he was part of the winning team.
Well, and that's it, isn't it? I mean, basically it comes down to you are nominated in a particular car, and when you're running multiple cars like that, that's the risk you get. You can have a great finish in the other car, but at any rate, it doesn't in any way, detract from the season that the team is having one way or the other, and they have been spectacular. Yeah. Again, that little bit of an adjustment. We're going to see how that, in terms of outright pace, that's why we have qualifying. We're going to find out. Yeah,
so he didn't get the maximum points there, Ben Keating or Jeroen Bleekemolen from that first run, but they did get the victory, and that's what they were after.
Yeah, that's what the manufacturer, and really that's the team. That's what they wear with absolutely great pride here. But we are in for, I think, a scorcher of a session here. And again, a couple of laps, get these Continental tires up into the window, and then it has dropped the hammer and go time, and it should be pretty spectacular. And I guess, really this morning's time that Spencer Pumpelly set in that 73 Park Place Porsche would be a good target here, 126.660. We should be underneath that, I would think. And believe me, I was just outside for a little bit. Yeah, the sun's been beating down on the track for a while, but the temperatures are still comfortably cool out there. So I think conditions are just prime.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. You're right. It is perfect conditions for going fast. And that lap turn this morning by Spencer Pumpelly was fractionally quicker than his own track record here, setting qualifying last year. And we're talking about records here for the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship, which only started last year. But Spencer Pumpelly last year turned a 26.695. That, though, was in the Audi. Now he's in a Porsche, and he's gone about 0.03 of a second quicker.
Yeah, exactly. And what a heartbreak for him last year. So he'd love to put that now Porsche on the pole and then have a very competitive run tomorrow, obviously, as he led on the last lap, ran out of fuel, gurgled up in the corkscrew, had to coast it home, and just came just that much short as a result. But he has been absolutely on form here, and that Park Place team have given this number 73. Clearly that car is set up well, and Spencer's driving as well as I've ever seen him.
Yeah, and Patrick Lindsay too. I think it's probably going to be Patrick that qualifies the car this afternoon, and he was super fast yesterday. I mean, he was at the top of the charts himself for a while in that session, and it's certainly turning some very, very fast times. I think that Patrick Lindsay is driving the best he's ever done right now, and he's poised now. Can he put this car on the pole position?
Well, and yeah, you're absolutely right. And of course, after the opening 2 races for them being long distance races where it doesn't really matter too much who starts the car, you're going to have lots of changes anyway. The rule that's been sort of reinstituted after a couple of years now, that the qualifying driver has to start in these shorter sprint races. Normally that would mean then that the AM side of the equation will do the qualifying and start. But Patrick Lindsay's up near the top of that AM rating, I'll give you that.
Yeah, he's certainly done very, very well indeed. And it's the 1 hour, as Shea Adam talked about a little while ago, so 1 hour minimum drive time for each of the drivers who share each of these cars during the race. So it's a Pro-Am category effectively, is GTD. So you've got a professional driver and a non-professional driver. One presumes normally that the professional driver is going to be a little bit quicker. So generally speaking, the convention is you would want him in for the final stages of the race. So that's why we expect the lesser qualified overall drivers to be out front this afternoon. And Ben Keating, he's another one. He's going to be sharing that number 33 Viper with Jeroen Bleekemolen. Big sideways slide there coming off turn 3.
Yeah, it's
using all the power of that V10. Yeah, really. But Ben, how much has Ben come along phenomenal in the last 12 months?
Well, I had the pleasure of announcing him when he really started doing racing in the public eye in the Dodge Viper Cup a number of years ago. And it didn't take him long once he figured it out. He was the guy, he ran that series for a while, got very familiar with the cars. And when that series ended, he pretty much owned every conceivable record there. But again, the drivers there, that was more of a single make where you've got, young drivers, some young drivers that are just stepping in, and other drivers. Now, when he decided to start to go, road racing at the professional level, watching his gains, and as you said, in this last year in particular, he has just stepped up huge. And, I really think, obviously, getting some great information and coaching from Riley Motorsports and the gang there, but also the time with a worldly talent like Jerome Bleekenmolen. How can that do anything but help immensely?
Yeah, I mean, Ben Keating, he got into the sport as a professional, or into the professional series relatively late.
Yes, indeed.
Certainly in life. He's 43 years of age now, but a three-time champion in the Viper Racing League. But this is a different league here in the United Sports Car Championship. But Ben Keating has very much shown that he belongs.
Without doubt, early times have Keating atop the order, but it's a 129.7, so I think it's going to be the next couple of laps. And we will see this happening in a hurry, and time should just start to shuffle big time downward. And looking forward to how this one plays out. Ian James, 23, would be second now. Lindsay is third in the 73 Porsche. John Potter, fourth in the 44 Magnus Porsche. Sweedler in the Scuderia Corsa Ferrari is fifth. Now Christina Nielsen moves around and takes that spot. But here we go, watching down through Rainy Curve here, and clearly on it at this stage now comes Patrick Lindsay in that black number 73.
Great looking car, isn't it?
Yeah,
That Park Place Motorsports Porsche. And into the final corner now. Left-handed at turn 11, hard on the brakes for that corner. Now Cope, a nice smooth arc through the corner, uses all the road and the curbing on the exit, gets a good launch onto the front straight away. Up the start-finish lane he comes, Patrick Lindsay across the line. He does go to the top of the charts now, 128.377.
28.3, and that's not far off what we saw in a couple of the practice sessions, so the next lap or two should be very strong. Here comes the number 44, Potter, but Keating now turns a 128.9, slips into the second spot. Potter third in the 44. Mark Miller in the 93 car now into the fourth spot. And as I say that, Ian James sneaks through in the number 23 and pushes him back. And that's just what we're going to see here. Every time cars come by here, we should see improvements for the next couple of laps anyway. Yeah, with the non-professionals at the wheel of the cars in this qualifying session, I doubt we're going to see the qualifying lap record set last year by Spencer Pampella under attack, but that was a 26.6 and a 128.377 then for Patrick Lindsay, fastest at the moment in this qualifying session, with almost exactly halfway through the 15 minutes. Yeah, these 15 minutes just fly by, and it means that you better get your laps done in a hurry here and make sure you are spot perfect. That's one of the things here. You run off track at all, dirty up those tires. I mean, by the time you get those tires back up and scrubbed clean, you may just flat be out of time. So this is a track that during qualifying requires precision. Use all the track, but use only all the track. Lindsay now, does he improve on his 28.3? He does, a 27.5. Good lap by Patrick Lindsay. Yeah, and Dion von Molke, he's completed 3 laps so far in number 48 Audi R8 LMS for Paul Miller Racing. He's not yet got the ultimate out of that car. I think Dion von Molke, he certainly will be thinking he's got a good opportunity here to grab the pole position. Boy, you would absolutely think so. How about Mark Miller here in the number 93, first time driving this Viper this weekend, and up into second at a 128.392 in the number 93 Mosing Motor Cars machine. Then Keating in the team number 33 Viper Exchange car, then the 40. Oh, and here comes Von Molke. It wasn't going to take long. And he's up to third in that number 48 Paul Miller Racing machine at a 28.57. Keating at a 28.59. And Mark Miller just come after a really strong top 10 finish in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, so not much peace for him. No. He's had to change driver suits and get ready, hop into the Viper, and after a really good performance in that Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge race, he's now stepping up here in the Viper. And they're right, considering his lack of experience in that car, never driven it before this weekend, and he's stepped up to the plate really nicely. Talking to me yesterday evening, he was kind of struggling a little bit and just getting used to the car and getting used to how the team works. And he reckoned they were throwing a few curveballs at him to see how he reacted.
because they sent him out in the second session on old tyres, and he was sort of scrabbling around, struggling. And then he came in, and his co-driver, with Jeff Moseley, went out, and immediately went quite a bit quicker. And it wasn't until later they learned that Jeff Moseley had fresh tyres. They didn't bother to tell Mark Miller that. So they were just seeing how he reacted to that.
Sure. A 27 flat on his last lap now by Lindsay.
Wow.
That puts him 1.6 seconds clear of the field. Well, check that. Yeah, 27 flat at 28.3, so 0.8 of a second clear.
Wow.
Looking at the wrong column there. Yeah, that's great. And
that's a great lap.
That kind of sounds like when NASA would run the sims on the Apollo astronauts, and they'd try and throw things at them to see how they would handle adversity. And nice job there. Let's see, Dion van Molken now comes through at a 28. He was a little off on that lap. I think he may have just been cooling those tires for one more run. So it's Lindsay in the 73. Miller in the 93, Van Molken the 48 Audi R8, Keating in the 33 Viper, and Potter in the 44 Porsche. Then Christina Nielsen in the 007 Aston Martin, Ian James in the 23 Sweedler in that Scuderia Corsa Ferrari, Cooper McNeil in the 22 AJR Alex Job Racing Porsche, and the number 97 of Michael Marcel for Turner Motorsports in the BMW.
Yeah, and Patrick Byrne rounding out the field in the Flying Lizard Audi. Puff of dust here at turn 4. Somebody putting wheel off on the exit here. But what a great lap that is by Patrick Lindsay.
Yeah, stellar.
I mean, just over 0.4 of a second away from a track record here in GTD. Wow, that is stunning. Quicker than anybody else went this morning, other than his teammate Spencer Pumpelly in that same car.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, 0.4 there too. So I mean, that's all he's off here. That's a pretty remarkable performance here by Patrick Lindsay. And again, that car clearly, I mean, Patrick doing a brilliant job, but you have to extract everything out of the car that they give you, but they gave him a good car.
Mark Miller improves at 128.021. His teammate Ben Keating improves to a 128.267. Those two, Mark Miller and Ben Keating, will be sharing a GTLM Viper at Le Mans next month, along with Jerome Blakemolen, and now splitting those two Vipers, Dion van Molken in that car number 48 for Audi.
Patrick Byrne turns his best lap, still 11th, but at a 129.463. He's dipped into the 129s now.
That's pretty good. He's only a couple of seconds off the pace. His first ever proper professional race, I would say. He's done racing a Ferrari Challenge. You can arguably call that professional, I suppose. But certainly, it's a stout effort.
Big off by the 33 there of Keating. Just had a big wiggle. That was our dust cloud. I think this was a replay, perhaps. So that would explain that, and that's what I'm talking about. You dirty those tires up, and that really kind of puts paid to things here as we're down to 3 minutes remaining.
Patrick Lindsay then still on the top of the charts here by almost exactly a second over Mark Miller in the number 93 Viper. Third place number 48 Audi, Dion van Molken. Fourth place is 33 Viper of Ben Keating. Patrick Lindsay comes across the line one more time, slightly slower that time, 132, so just cooling the tyres a little bit. Maybe there's time for one more fast lap before the end of this session with 2.5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, Keating starting a lap now. Hopefully he's got his tires cleaned off by now behind him. I think I saw Sweedler in the Scuderia Corsa Ferrari running very close through turn 11 with another car. Meanwhile, Lindsay continuing out their pace through turn 4, heading up into turn 5. He's got to still, I mean, that time by Miller at 28 flat now has him within a second at this stage. Yeah,
just about. And Dion van Molken did improve last time around, but still not quite enough to edge out Mark Miller. Just 1/100th of a second between those two. 128.021 for Mark Miller in the Viper and 128.031 for Dion van Molken in that Paul Miller Racing Audi. Boy, that's close.
Incredibly close indeed. Keating at a 28.2. Potter 28.3.
Yeah, good lap by John Potter.
It sure was. And that Magnus number 44 is we're watching right now, the number 48 Paul Miller machine, the Castrol Edge R8 in the hands of Dion van Molken.
Patrick Byrne improves also, a 29.238 for Flying Lizard Motorsport in their Audi R8 Ultra, 10th fastest overall. Now Patrick Byrne just edges out Michael Marsell by mere fractions of a second. In fact, from 6th to 11th is covered by, well, not even 0.4 of a second. As you see, the class leading car, Patrick Lindsay, has decided enough is enough. He brings that car, number 73 Park Place Motorsports Porsche, onto pit lane.
Yeah, there's 1 minute left in this session. All his pursuers have to find a rather significant chunk of time. And I think Pat's thinking, just save those tires. So we're keeping our eyes now on that number 45 of Patrick. Every lap, Patrick Byrne has trimmed tenths off of what he's doing. Ooh, little bobble there.
And it comes off the final corner and across the line now by Patrick Byrne. See what the time is. It's a 1/10 of a second slower than his previous best lap, but still, again, good consistent laps for Patrick Byrne.
And Dion van Molke that time through turned to 34.3, but he was on it through turns 2 and up into 3, so I think he cooled his tires for one last go here. Should be fun to see. Same thing for Mark Miller in the number 93. As we're watching Lindsay get out of the car. And there's Mark Miller as he feeds. I think he's off it too. I think he's decided nope. But so we'll ride here with Dion van Molke as he exits 5 up through turn 6. Checkered flag flies at start finish. So the laps these guys are on will count. Boy, Dion using every ounce of pavement and curb there as he heads up into the corkscrew.
He's got the car ahead of him there. Going over the corkscrew. I don't think that's going to be a factor though. We'll see what Dion can put together on this final lap.
Down through rainy curve into turn 10, down that gear. That car in front is Michael Marsal, who's heading into the pit, so clears the lane. So for Dion, this is it. Last gas. Can he maybe, if nothing else, move up to the front row of the class? Needs to better a 28.02. Then he goes a 28.03.
0.34 compared to a 0.31 he did a couple of laps ago. So yeah, that's pretty consistent. 0.03 of a second between those two laps. There was an improvement there, I think, maybe by Ian James, also by Patrick Byrne. Patrick Byrne now up into 8th place for Final IMSA Motorsports, a 28.946. That's a fine effort. That's within a second of Dion van Molke, who's been driving this car for several years. A 24-year-old from Spokane, Washington. Patrick Byrne, a very impressive debut in the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship.
I'd say extremely impressive, absolutely. And I think Shay, our Continental Tire pit reporter, is making her way down toward Patrick Lindsay, so we'll wait for her cue. If she can get to him and throw it down. You there?
Yes, I am. And
All
Patrick
right.
Lindsay, that was a phenomenal lap. Where did it come from?
Yeah, it took a little bit of work. A little bit by me, but mostly by this crew who's been phenomenal all week. I mean, they just do things with this car that I certainly can't do, but I'll take a little bit of credit for it. It was tough actually because the track was still rubbering in from the Connie race into our type of rubber, and it was good. Continental tires were good. Porsche makes an amazing car. It was just so much fun to drive around this historic, fantastic racetrack.
Well, last year it was your co-driver, Spencer Pompelli, doing it, and the Lizards getting the pole. This year it's you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
From Santa Barbara, California is Patrick Lindsay. So just up the coast for him from Santa Barbara up the Big Sur Road up to Route 1. Don't know whether he drove or whether he took the less scenic route. But it's a great drive down all the way down the coastline to Santa Barbara, and I know he'll have a lot of supporters here this weekend. So a fine performance there by Patrick Lindsay. That'll be his first ever pole position in this series.
That's an awesome job, no question about it. And interestingly, you were talking about that drive. If you live in California, maybe I just got to get up there. But if I'm out here, I'm on one any chance I can get. It is stunning, absolutely. So we get a little bit of a pause, and then we get into prototype challenge. I
Yes,
think.
a bit of a change around there. It's not the GTLM cars now, it's the other Pro-Am category that will be out next, the PC cars.
Yep.
And we've seen some very, very tightly packed groupings in these cars through the practice sessions so far. Bruno Junqueira is certainly one of the hot contenders in this class for RSR racing. Chris Cumming, his teammate, will be, I think, doing the qualifying duties. And there's 4 or 5 contenders, I think, that are likely to think they got a chance at the pole this afternoon.
Yeah, indeed, and it's interesting here in the practice session earlier today, Renger van de Zende in the Starworks number 8 turned a lap that was fully a second faster than any other lap we've seen from the prototype challenge cars here during the day. So at a 120.1, I mean, he was up there mixing it up with some of the prototypes and not far off. But again, we anticipate now seeing his co-driver will be out there. That's Mirko Schultes, who is the AM side of the Pro-Am equation in this category. And for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it's all based, the FIA has a global ranking system of drivers, and it's based on championships, achievements, a lot of different factors go into determining it. And the very top tier is a platinum driver, then a gold. Those are considered pro. And then you've got silver and bronze. They're the amateur drivers. And it is often said these days, particularly in international sports car racing, that perhaps the most valuable commodity on the planet is a fast silver.
Yeah, exactly right. That's Patrick Lindsay showed that in that last GTD
he
session.
Sure did, didn't he?
As did Mark Miller and Dion von Moltke, particularly the top 3 contenders in GTD in that qualifying session just completed. And we're going to see now in Prototype Challenge who can rise up to that standard.
And you take a look at the co-drivers in this class. I mean, there are, it's another very close grouping. I mean, you take a look, Chris Cumming, who co-drives with Bruno Juncker in the number 11 RSR entry. John Bennett, who co-drives with Colin Brown in the 54 core entry. Mike Gouache has won 2 championships in the Prototype Challenge. Co-drives with Tom Kimber-Smith for PR1 Matheson Motorsports. And, so there certainly is the potential there. And I think James French is probably the guy who's the AM driver in the equation for the 38 Performance Tech team. And James is a very solid amateur silver level driver. So I think we could be in for a good one here.
Yeah.
Of course, Mirko Schultes teamed up with Renger van der Zen. It's going to be fun to watch.
It should be. And Michael Gouache, he's got a lot of miles around here from Pleasant Hill, California, so not too far away. Got a lot of laps around here in the past. He'll be driving number 52 car, as you say, for PR1 Matheson Motorsports, sharing it with the 3-time Le Mans winner Tom Kimber-Smith. So that's going to be a very, very strong pairing in the race. So that pairing has already won the first 2 races of the championship, both the Rolex 24 at Daytona and the Sebring 12 hours as well.
Let's get down real quick to Shea Adam.
Well, and guys, don't forget that Mike Gouache won at the 12 Hours of Sebring for the 3rd time this year. The other 2 were in 2011 and 2013. And Mike Gouache just happens to have won this race twice before. That was in 2011 and 2013. So if patterns hold true, it's looking like it could be a very good weekend for him.
He's certainly hoping so. And that team, PR1 Matheson Motorsports, is run out of Fresno, California. So again, pretty local here to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. So they are very confident of a strong run this weekend. Just a few minutes away now from qualifying for PC.
Yeah, I mean, he's been an interesting story. What was it, a couple of years ago? He really had decided, well, I'm just gonna run a few races here and see how it goes. And after the first couple, kind of like this year, he found himself leading the championship and said, well, I can't bail on it now when I'm out front, and stayed in it. Yeah, he's been very, very solid behind the wheel as that silver driver in the Pro-Am equation, doing an absolutely superb job. I mean, he took a year sabbatical, really, came back and hasn't missed a beat.
No, he's been very strong. He takes it very, very seriously. Super fit is Michael Gouache. And yeah, he's a very fast driver. Another guy I watched we haven't talked about so far, driving one of the 2 drivers in the number 85 car for JDC Miller Motorsports, Mikhail Goikberg and Zach Veach. Zach Veach making his debut in sports cars this weekend. 3 wins in Indy Lights last year, finished 3rd in the championship. And he's striving now to make himself a future in the Verizon IndyCar Series, but also looking to the sports car ranks as well. He'll be making his debut this weekend alongside Mikhail Goikberg. And Mikhail Goikberg dominated last year's Coupe-Tard's Prototype Lights Championship powered by Mazda. He was a dominant victor in that championship, won 9 of the races last season. And he, following in the footsteps of several other drivers, including Tristan Nunez, and Sean Rahal, moving up from that championship into PC and looking to make their mark.
And it has proven, hasn't it, to be a very effective training ground, and it's proof that, as IMSA calls it, the development series program, which might otherwise be called the ladder program to help promote. And you know what? What we talk about all the time is the drivers that come up. But look at the number of teams that are running now in the Prototype Challenge Championship that started in that lights program as well. You train engineers to deal with aero. You train crew members. I mean, all of this. It is a very well-proven program, and doing an absolutely nice job, to be sure.
Yeah, that JDC team, John Church, the team principal there, they are leading the championship this year in Coupe-Tard's prototype lights. They've won, I think, all the races this season. Kenton Cook is the championship leader, and they've got some really strong young drivers in that stable.
Boy, they had an onboard shot. They the last 2 laps of the race that Kenton Cook won in the rain at NOLA, and they had posted some onboard video of that. And watching that young man in those conditions was spectacular.
Yeah,
and that's all part and parcel of learning the ropes. When
Yeah,
you
it
make
is.
a change, because he steps out of Mazda MX-5 sedans, if you will, into an outright high downforce prototype chassis. And boy, quick learner.
That's right. Has some great battles with his teammate Clark Topey
Yeah.
this year. He's won one of the races as well. Those two very young drivers looking to make their mark in the IMSA development series, and then move on up into the prototype challenge category here in the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship.
We are green. Prototype challenge qualifying's 15 minutes. Sounds rather Andy Warhol, doesn't it? 15 minutes here for these guys.
15 minutes for fame.
Exactly, to go out and see what's going to happen here. This one should be fun.
It always is in PC, isn't
Yeah.
it? They start off with a fuel tank with enough fuel in to run the whole 15 minutes, and as the fuel tank burns down, these Continental tyres are super durable, and generally speaking, just as the fuel burns off and the drivers get more and more used to the cars, they go faster and faster and faster. We've seen some fabulous battles for pole position in PC.
Yeah, right to the end of the session too, as you're talking about. Always fun. And of course, as the fuel load wears off, the cars get lighter, which means everything's more responsive, and you get these guys that really know how to wheel it. It can be pretty spectacular. Ooh, yeah, a bit of lock up there.
Yeah, we've got a race breaking out here.
We do. Well, I think some of the guys, they want clear track, and I think that's exactly what Bennett's looking at here. I want to get a clear piece of track, and it looks like Chris Cumming trying to join him in getting around here, and does.
Yeah, Michael Gouache says, okay, fine, you guys go on ahead. And what he'll have to do now, Michael Gouache, is certainly an advantage, I think, to being out in front, because you've got clean air. You don't have to worry about anybody else getting in your way. So Michael now, I think, would be best advised to cool off a little bit. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. Give himself a margin now over those 2 cars that have elected to go out ahead of him.
Well, I wonder, too, if that might not be a smart move, because we heard Patrick Lindsay say after the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge race, Continental tires, yes, but very different compounding that they use in there. Now these cars, you let cars out in front of you get a little bit of that rubber down that works better with you. Maybe maybe that might work out for him a little bit. And maybe I'm just spinning stuff. But it's a good story. I'm going to stick with it.
Big lock up there from Chris Cumming once again, going down the Andretti hairpin. Not quite. This isn't a race, Chris. I hope somebody informed you of that. There's no need to smoke them up under braking. That's not going to gain you anything at all. All that's going to do is abuse those Continental tyres.
Yeah, I wonder if he was maybe trying to just get a little toe down that straight and then just misjudged his braking area.
Yeah,
but still, yeah. I mean, he's just running awfully. You're never, that close to the car in front of you. The only place that's going to help maybe is from 11 down into 2. Otherwise, you're just in the wake.
Yeah, I mean, if you can take advantage of the draft and slip through under braking, maybe, but he wasn't able to do that. So he's going to find himself held up here, I think, by the number 54 car. It's John Bennett at the wheel of that car, we're assuming, and Chris Cumming. Chris Cumming, interesting character. He came up again through the open wheel ranks. Again, started racing relatively late. 38 years, 44 years of age now, from Vancouver, BC, in Canada, and won the Masters class in what is now the Pro Mazda Championship several times over the years before stepping into the prototype cars.
Absolutely. Actually did a couple of years in Porsche GT Cup type cars as well. So, and was quite quick in those. And once again, boy, he is just really glued. Now he's going to try and get down underneath John
Sure
Bennett.
what he's thinking here. What is he thinking? Yeah, he's looped it now. That was. We've got a lot of respect for Chris Cumming, but that was a pretty silly thing to do. You don't want to be sliding these cars. Now he's got to drive through the dirt to get those tyres all covered in gravel and dust and everything else. So that's going to take a couple of laps to burn those off. I'm surprised. I think the Genelozzi father and son who'll be on the pit wall there, they run this RSR racing team. I don't think they're going to be very happy at that.
No, not at all. And I mean, Bennett doing a superb job recognizing he was coming down and not turning down when he could have. And this is what I talked about earlier, wasn't it? You have an off like that, and now you've just junked those tires up, and it's going to be laps before those things are really clean and able to go for a fast time. Meanwhile, on that last lap, though, for what it's worth, he did go to the top at a 126.665 and has that car on the provisional pole. But then you've got Bennett, just 2/10 off. Goikberg a little bit more than that back right now, but they've got more laps to unleash here. Here comes right now the number 54. Let's see, does Bennett find that couple of tenths or more? He does, a 1 minute 25.236, and that puts Bennett up onto the top provisionally here, as we have 10 minutes remaining. Mike Gouache and Goikberg comes through, jumps into second at a 25.766 for JDC Miller, and then Gouache in that number 52 PR1 Matheson car comes through at a 25.778 to Goikberg's 25.76. Very close. Coming now, slips to fourth. And Todd Slusher doing a nice job at a 26.9, Jeremy, in his debut weekend for Bar 1 in Prototype Challenge.
Absolutely right. And yeah, again, more graduates from the prototype lights category moving up here. Todd Slusher and John Falve moving up to drive the number 16 car for Bar 1 Motorsports.
And very quickly, let's get down to Shea in the middle of our qualifying session here for a word from Tommy Milner.
Just wanted to talk to Tommy really quick. Tommy, you're getting in the car for qualifying. It's your turn to get pole. All the other three guys have gotten one now. Feeling the pressure?
Yeah, for sure, a little bit there. You know, our Corvette's been fast this weekend. It's been good. The BMW's been fast for sure. So they'll, I think, sort of got them the ones to chase right now. But yeah, I mean, we're having fun. You know, the car's been responsive to all the changes that we've made this weekend, and you know, now's the time just to let her rip and see what happens.
Well, this track has been traditionally good for Corvette, so don't be surprised if there's a Corvette on pole or on top of the podium come tomorrow afternoon.
Thanks.
Well, you never bet against him, that's for sure. And if Milner would be able to get that pole, guess what? That would be a qualifier to keep our streak alive in that category too. So
Paul Genelozzi is going to be a little bit happier now because Chris Cumming has finally got it together on that last lap. Even with the dirt still on the tyres, he's turned a 123.363 to go to the top of the charts in PC qualifying. And James French, as you were suggesting, the youngster from Wisconsin, moving us up into second place now in car number 38 for Performance Tech Motorsports at 123.8.
yeah, he's very comfortable driving very fast stuff, James is. I mean, in SCCA competition, ooh, big rough ride over the curbs in the corkscrew for John Bennett. In SCCA competition, he drives C Sports racers and Formula Atlantics, and that's pretty wicked quick stuff. And then with his dad, when they go historic racing, he drives ex-world champion Formula 1 cars like Benetton's and Ferraris and wheels them with aplomb as well. Let's see now, Bennett at a 24.1, Jeremy, needs to find a chunk of time here. Let's see what he does. A nice lap, jumps to second at a 23.635, splitting Cumming and French.
Indeed so. So Chris Cummings then still leads at 123.363. John Bennett in car number 54, 123.635. Michael Goikberg jumped up into the third place ahead of James French. So Goikberg then a 23.691. So the same tenth of a second as John Bennett. James French waiting for him to come across the line. 123.859 last time. Michael Gouache goes a little bit quicker, 124.2. in the fifth position right now.
Boy, Cumming just bettered his time now into the 122s at a 122.841. That gives him a little bit more pad to play with.
James French also improves. It's the second place now in car number 38, 123.451. So now we beginning to see some faster times. And Chris Cumming, the first guy under 1 minute 23.
Down through Rainy Curve comes John Bennett. And this is the team that has won so many championships in this category. That Core Autosport entry through 10. Down through the gears, hear that big V8 thumping at the back of that Oreca prototype, onto the front straight. Does he make that improvement? Well, he improves his time, but not position. Still third at a 1:23.624 now.
Yeah, John Bennett and Colin Brown won this championship last year, their second driver championship in the PC class, previously in the American Le Mans Series before that. An improvement again though for Chris Cumming, another couple of tenths quicker, 1:22.67 now for car number 11 RSR Racing.
And a good lap by Gouache. And the number
better.
52 as he now jumps to third at a 23.5.
Yeah, Mike Gouache getting up to speed. An improvement also for James French. Once again, 23.261. As we suggested, with every lap, these guys are going a little bit quicker each time.
Gouache just hammering it up the hill now out of turn 5, heading towards 6. Looks like he's got Goikberg following him up into that braking zone. Just fade to the right a little bit. Hard on the brakes. Ooh. Down through the corkscrew. 5 to go. 5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, and the only one of the 7 contenders who, excuse me, did not improve on the last lap was Mikhail Goikberg in car number 85 for JDC Miller Motorsports. So he's down in the 5th position, but it's all very, very close. Just 4/10 of a second from 2nd through to 5th.
Yeah, good stuff. Here comes Gouache. See what he does on this lap. He's been one of those that's improved every time through. Wow, significant. He goes to a 23.138, and right behind him, coming again, improves Jeremy, a 22.652. Very small increment improvement by Chris, but nonetheless big. But for Gouache, jumps to 2nd.
Indeed, and Mikhail Goikberg jumped up into the 4th place there, 1:23.615. Edges out John Bennett's 1:23.624. There's an improvement again for James French, who's back up into the 2nd place.
Wow, this is
1:23.0. So now just 4/10 of a second between the top 2. Well, the top 3 contenders covered by less than half a second. Chris Cumming leads away for RSR Racing, 1:22.652. James French in 2nd place for Performance Tech Motorsports, 1:23.089, and 1:23.138 for Michael Gouache in car number 52 for PR1 Matheson Motorsports.
Boy, that is good stuff. Goikberg not far adrift, about a half second back of Gouache. Bennett right there as well. Near identical laps for Goikberg and Bennett right now.
Bennett there using the curbs and next to the turn.
He used everything, didn't he? Yeah. Now you pay your entry fee, might as well use the whole track.
Yeah. And
like
he does improve. Ahead of Mikhail Goikberg there for John Bennett, up into the 4th position in car number 54.
And here comes the 85 at Goikberg.
Mike Gouache improves in car number 52, 2nd place again now, a 22.897, so just a couple of tenths away from the time set, the provisional pole setting time thus far. Chris Cumming 22.6, Mike Gouache 22.8.
Yeah, that time by Cumming for a while there looked like it was going to be awfully tough to sneak past, and Gouache now has let everybody know it might just be doable.
Still 2.5 minutes remaining in this session, so time for at least a couple of laps, depending on where they are on their respective laps.
Coming out of turn 5, climbing the hill once again. To be sure the teams let him know that somebody's now gotten within a couple of tenths. And it's the guy in the black, number 52, Mike Gouache. Down through the corkscrew. He's got a very aggressive, he uses every bit of curb both into and out of that corkscrew.
There it is, coming down now into the final corner. Mike Gouache, 2nd fastest so far, 1:22.897. His head down there, making sure the gear shift is perfect. Across the line he goes. No improvement. 23.1 for Mike Gouache.
He is very, very tidy, isn't he? He carries the speed without getting the car too out of line. He really just is smooth.
Yeah, that experience I think from the old Star Mazda as it was Pro Mazda, now the Pro Mazda Championship, runs as part of the Mazda Road to Indy.
James French out of 11. We're down to 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining.
Marco Schultes an improvement up into the 5th place for car number 8. It's the Starworks Motorsport entry. 1:23.466 now for Mirko Schultes. He'll be driving that car with Renger van der Zende, who was a pace setter this morning in the final practice session.
And Todd Slusher in the 16 Bar 1 Motorsports car gets to a 24.8. So that's impressive. First time out in this type of car, and he hasn't, been racing in the prototype lights category all that long either.
Right.
And runs in the lights 2 category. So this is a significant step. Doing a very nice job. Here comes Bennett. Needs to find a bit here. And nope, no improvement. About a half second off his best time at 23.1. Uh-oh. Yeah, Chris coming in attack mode again.
Going to fight again, is he? With Mikhail Goikberg here, nose to tail across the line they go. Time ticking out. Just as they will have time for one more lap, but Chris Cumming has not positioned
and
himself
he hits him.
well.
He just hit him. Got into the back of the 85. Goikberg in the braking zone for the hairpin.
Cumming did improve on his last lap, which is just as well. He turned a 22.565, as I say, just as well, because Mike Gouache turned a 22.569, 0.004 between those two. So Chris Cumming, he was on the quick lap there. He wanted to try and get another one in there as well. But got too close to the back end there of Mikhail Goikberg into turn 2. I wonder whether there might be any sort of a penalty for that, because it's certainly Michael Goikberg was going to the final lap looking for a fast lap as well.
Boy, this is interesting because Gouache now, this
French
lap's
too.
going to count here, Jeremy. Oh, at 22.6 for French.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that was, I think that was James French's time was probably set after the checkered flag came out.
So this might be the guy here with the shot. Up he comes into 11. Down through the gears, feeding it throttle out of 11 onto that front straight. As you said, only needs to find 5 1,000s.
Oh, he doesn't. 22.606 for Mike Gouache. So he has to be content with second place. It looks like Chris Cumming is going to come away with the pole in PC by the smallest of margin, 0.004, the number 11 car over the number 52.
That was an eventful pole too, wasn't it? The way he put that together.
Yeah, 2 incidents on track there for Chris Cumming. Man.
Yeah, a bit ragged, but quick. So, nicely done. So, provisionally here, it'll be Chris Cumming with Bruno Junqueira on the pole in the number 11 for RSR. Second, Mike Gouache. Again with Tom Kimber-Smith in the 52 PR1 Matheson machine. 38, James French. With Zach Veach in the 38 Performance Tech car. John Bennett with Colin Brown in the 54 Core Autosport car. And here's another look at what happened here, Jeremy.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure what Chris Cumming thought he was doing there, quite frankly. Because Mikko Goikberg was pretty much minding his own business. He was taking the racing line into corner. He's trying to go there for the pole position. I didn't see that. Who was that?
They cut to a shot of Paul Gentilozzi, who was kind of had a head in his hands, kind of going, okay.
Yes.
I mean, it's better when it when it sticks for pole. If you would have lost the pole on top of it, might have been a little different reaction there.
Yeah.
But the team able to at this point. There's John, absolutely got a smile on his face because they did get the pole.
Yeah, John's a street fighter. John Gentilozzi is a street fighter as well,
Oh,
so
yeah.
he'll have appreciated that. Yeah. Perhaps not so much.
Well, hey, how about let's find out from Chris himself, Shay?
Chris, that wasn't the most tidy qualifying session, but ultimately it's another pole for you. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't have been that exciting. I think I got into it with 2 guys. I'm not sure whose fault it was, but anyway, the car is great. The team's given us a great car all weekend. We've been fast, and but we still got a lot of work to do tomorrow.
Second pole, congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah, and the weapon, the arrow in the quiver that they have, obviously Chris doing a nice job in terms of speed for that qualifying session, and then he gets to crawl out and turn it over to Bruno Junqueira.
Yes, and not a bad co-driver there, is he, Bruno Junqueira? No, he is certainly quick everywhere he drives, in anything that he drives. But certainly that qualifying session bodes well, I think, for a really exciting race, because the top 6 cars there, all covered by, well, just about 1 second. And Todd Slusher there, who has shared the number 16 car with John Falb, he's only another maybe second or so behind, but considering his lack of experience at this level, a good effort by Todd Slusher.
I think so, and the top 3 covered by a 10th. So that's pretty remarkable stuff. So now we have a little bit of a pause once again, and then we will be moving into the pro qualifying ranks, and we will start that with GT Le Mans. I already heard a chat with Tommy Milner. Looking forward to this qualifying session. So let's start building the drama, shall we, Jeremy? 14 consecutive events since the start of the TUDOR United Sports Car Championship at GT Le Mans without a repeat pole winner in terms of a driver. So, as we get farther in, obviously you're whittling that pool of drivers that could still continue the streak into a smaller and smaller number. Here's the list. Jörg Bergmeister, Wolf Hensler, Lucas Luhr, Tommy Milner, Patrick Pillet, Brian Sellers, and Dirk Werner. Every one of them capable of doing it. What a story it would be if this somehow is able to continue.
Yeah, it is an astonishing streak. 14 different drivers in a row. And it just shows how strong this GTLM class is. There's nothing to choose between most of the manufacturers. Top quality drivers in every single one of the cars. And yeah, I mean, any one of those guys can do this. We saw Lucas Luhr last night, didn't we? And he seemed pretty confident of being able to add his name to that very illustrious list. Certainly the BMWs have been fast. They won last time out at Long Beach, a very different track to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, of course. But those cars now have been pretty quick everywhere they go.
And those 2 BMWs in that morning session here were at the top. The 24, the time by Lucas Luhr was a 22.591, and for the 25, I believe the time was set by Dirk Werner at a 22.6, and a 22.7 by the Pillet Christensen 911, Porsche 911 RSR, then Gavin Milner, then Magnussen Garcia, and as you would expect, things very compact indeed. So either of those BMW, depending upon who does the qualifying, that's the one thing we don't know just yet, who's been nominated to go out and qualify.
No, but as we just say, these are all proper professional drivers. They're all equally capable. Some of them have an affinity for some tracks a little bit more than others, certainly, no question about that. But anybody can win this. And the GTLM lap record set last year by Antonio Garcia in the Corvette at 122.373. I'd be surprised if that wasn't under threat.
Yeah, I would think so too. Again, in these conditions, could easily see a new track record set here. And then again, remember folks, after GT Le Mans qualifying, we will have a short break, and then it'll be the prototypes coming out to establish that overall qualifying run to the front. Well, Shay, why don't you do just that? Who's qualifying?
Well, in the BMWs, it's Lucas Luhr and Dirk Werner. In the Falcon Tire car, it will be Wolf Hensler. The Porsches, we will see Mr. Christensen, who does have a pole to his name, and Mr. Pillet, who does not. Corvette Racing, we get Tommy Milner and Antonio Garcia. Reese, we find Pierre Caffer. And am I forgetting anybody? I feel like I am.
Nope, I think well, yeah, you said both of the BMWs. So you said Werner and Luhr. So, yeah, basically there's just a couple of the guys. The only Bergmeister's not qualifying. He would be one of the candidates. Wolf is he's a candidate. So, yeah, I mean, we've got a good shot here. Of the 7 candidates, I think possibly 4 or 5 will be out qualifying.
I think only Garcia and, if I'm remembering correctly, Garcia and Christensen are the only 2, and Caffer. They're the 3 who have poles to their names. All the rest are newbies looking to keep the streak alive.
You know, I love it when they play into the drama of things. I'm sure that's what was discussed in the team meetings was for the qualifying. Yeah, well, who doesn't have a pole yet?
Oh, absolutely. They wanted to put on a show for us.
And they shall. Boy, that's one thing you can be absolutely guaranteed of when the GT Le Mans cars head out for the qualifying session. And one of the things that we see, Jeremy, obviously with these cars as close as they are, you get on a track like this, which does have areas where you can overtake, but it also, we've talked about it, you've got lots of traffic out there. You get offline to make a pass. You can get dirt, debris, and the like on your tires. So the better you qualify here, and no matter whether you're one of the Pro-Am classes or the Pro classes, they tell you at this track, you look at the layout and it goes, oh, that's a good passing zone, that's a good passing zone. Not that easy in application. Qualify well.
Yeah, the track position is the term. If you're out in front, you don't have to pass anybody, so you can just maintain your position. There's the plan. So they all want to qualify at the front. It is difficult to overtake, particularly when the cars are so evenly matched. I mean, you really got to do something very, very special to get past somebody when there is so little to choose between the cars. So yeah, everybody certainly will be gunning for the pole in this session now. It's going to be a really, really fascinating 15 minutes, and I have no doubts that every single one of these 8 drivers who's going out now for this qualifying session thinks I can get this done.
I don't doubt that at all. And I think, to me, just as we go green, so here we go, the thing that's going to be interesting to me is this is the opportunity now just to see outright pace. And keep in mind, folks, in that recent Competizione 62 Ferrari, they've got that brand new Evo Aero kit that the first time they ran it was the first session yesterday morning, practice number 1. It had been run on the Ferraris in the WEC event at Silverstone. They knew it was quick there, but the team had no experience of it. And they're also running this weekend for the first time electronic throttle. No throttle cable, it's all fly-by-wire technology. And they said, we just don't know. We've never driven it. We don't know what it is. In those sessions, a couple of the sessions, that 62 car was showing some very good speed. But this now is just the raw session for pace. Go out and show it. And it's just going to be fun to see now where that car slots in. And one thing with Dave Sims at the helm and the guys that are on that crew, they are going to adapt beautifully to it, and we'll see how it plays out. But boy, this should be a cracker.
It should, shouldn't it? And there's no doubt that with a team of that experience, they wouldn't be running these new developments on the car if they didn't think it was going to be faster.
True.
So yes, they had a little bit of a learning curve with it, but they got all the data, they got all the information from Maranello, from the factory team, and of course it runs the factory blessed cars in the World Endurance Championship.
Right.
So they know exactly what they've got here. They've just got to make sure that the drivers are comfortable with it.
Right. And the interesting thing that when normally they say what'll happen here, we got better downforce, but it makes the car a little bit more draggy. We got to run more with that big rear wing to balance the new, very effective compared to what they had before, aerodynamics at the front of the car. They said, so we're a bit more draggy, and they said, ironically, the series at the same time gave them a slightly smaller restrictor, not larger, to counter the drag. And the series argument was, well, you should be able to carry much more speed through the corners and go much deeper into the braking zones and more than make up for that. So we'll see how it all equates here in the next now 12 minutes and 50 seconds. The BMWs waited a good long time to come out of the pits, as did this number 3 Corvette, making its way onto the track. And here come the BMWs. There is the number 25. It should be Dirk Werner.
And again, you talked about the BMWs coming out a little bit later than everybody else, and strategy is important.
Absolutely.
With these primarily Michelin tires, apart from the Falcon tires Porsche, everybody else running on the same Michelins, and they're not going to want to run too many laps on these tires. I would suggest 4 or 5 laps is probably all they're going to really want to run on them before the race. So often there is an advantage to staying in the pit lane a little bit longer and making sure maybe some of the contenders are already off the racetrack and done before you go out there and try and lay down your lap. But at the same time, you can't afford the risk of there being somebody in the gravel trap and then have the session stopped, so you can't set a time.
Yeah, that's that risk you take when you do play that game. But when it works beautifully. Riding on board now with the number 17. Hensler out of turn 11. And let's see, should be next lap. We should start to see something fairly representative here. It's interesting watching the pace of those BMWs. This is a track where the team really feels like this package with this BMW and this Z4 GTE, they said it should be a pretty good package on this track. A little shorter wheelbase than some of the other cars out there. Really strong in the mechanical grip department, and as you know, the track, if it's a little bit greasy, that helps. They were relatively optimistic. It's going to be fun to see the number 62 Kaffer in the Risi car up through turn 6. This is fun. Just our monitors right now bouncing around from some onboard shots.
So with the glare from the booth, it's tough to see it actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a little bit.
Coming down the final corner then, the 911 Porsche, Patrick Pilet. It's the fastest time on the kind of the out lap or the first flying lap. Let's see what he does when he comes across the line now.
A 24.006, Milner at a 24.089, Kaffer a 24.301, Christensen in the 912 a 23.485.
Yeah, and again the track record here set last year by Antonio Garcia, 122.373. So still a little bit more than a second to find if Antonio Garcia's track record is going to be under threat. You reckon what, 4 or 5 laps, 4 or 5, maybe 6, the best for these contenders. So a little bit cooler, as you were saying a little bit earlier on, Greg. It's a bit cooler than it looks out here because the sun is beating down. It looks absolutely gorgeous, which it is, but it's not terribly warm, so it certainly takes a little bit longer. It's a relatively low grip track here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, so it does take a little bit longer to build the pressures and the temperature into these tyres, and less so the brakes, but certainly the tyres.
123.485, Christensen currently atop the order. Ooh, nice, getting onto the throttle, a little flat slide by the number 4 of Milner as he comes across. Jumps to the top at a 23.2, and just that quick, Patrick Pilet goes through at a 22.708 and jumps to the top. Kaffer into second at a 22. Christensen joins his teammate now at a 22.78 to Pilet's 22.70, Jeremy.
Wow, yeah, that's close. Pierre Kaffer, as you say, they're into the third place, half a second back now in the 62 Ferrari. Tommy Milner and Pierre Kaffer, nothing to choose between those two, both running a 1:23.2, 2.3 for Kaffer, 2.7 for Tommy Milner. Wolf Hensler, a 23.8 in the Falcon Tires Porsche car number 17.
Riding around right now with the number 3 of Antonio Garcia, pole winner and record setter from last year.
The number 25 BMW is out on the racetrack, and that is Dirk Werner. He's done 3 laps now. We haven't yet seen a 24 car, I don't think, have we?
Yeah, they waited later than everybody else to come out, so I don't think they've thrown down a quick timed lap at this point.
Haven't said a time at all yet, but 22.7 then the best time so far. 2 Porsches, look how closely matched they are, absolutely almost identical times there.
Here comes Milner. Jumps to second, check that, jumps to third at a 22.901. It's Pilet, Christensen, Milner, Kaffer goes to a 22.975, still fourth.
Yeah, and Michael Christensen not quite as quick. That lap at 22.8. Patrick Pilet in kind of 9.11 and 24.1, so a couple of seconds, a second and a bit away from the best lap he turned last time. And Wolf Hensler does improve, a 23.3, 5th position for Wolf Hensler. Dirk Werner, he is where is he? 7th place in the class at the moment. He improves this time around, 23.527 for Dirk Werner. Still no sign of Lucas Luhr in car number 24.
Yeah, Garcia now jumps to 6th, his first relatively quick lap at a 23.414 in the number 3. As Patrick Pilet down through the corkscrew, down through Rainy Curve, now down into turn 10. Leads right now by 8/100ths of a second over his teammate Christensen at 122.708.
Now Lucas Luhr appears on the time charts here, 7th fastest. That was his first flying lap at 123.426. A relative slow lap there from Patrick Pilet, 124.2.
Yes, he was just easy off. Caffer turns a nice lap at 22.853, and the Ricci Ferrari jumps to third.
Man, yeah, that is close. The top 4 contenders now covered by 0.152 of a second. Yeah, 0.152 of a second covering the top 4 contenders in GTLM. It's the 2 Porsches, 911 of Patrick Pilet, 912 Michael Christensen, and Pierre Caffer in the Ferrari. Tommy Milner in the number 4 Corvette, and now he's joined by Antonio Garcia, 122.9, but he clips them all. Wow.
What a lap by the 25 of Dirk Werner, a 22.688.
Yeah, beats Patrick Pilet's time by a full 0.02 of a second.
Just smacked it. Now, here comes the 24. Lure to the top at a 22.610. 7/100ths better.
So both of the BMW drivers are in contention, aren't they, to be the 15th different pole sitter in a row in GTLM.
They absolutely are.
And so is actually the top 4 are, aren't they?
Yeah, Lucas Luhr, yeah, Pilet. No, Christensen has one, but Milner doesn't, and now he makes it good for you. The top 4 all are in that realm. Caffer sits in 6th now, Garcia 7th, Hensler in 8th.
Wow.
Boy, is this good stuff. A 22.61 for Luhr, and all the way back to Caffer at 22.8. Christensen in the pit, somebody drops a right. Oh, that's Luhr.
Lucas Luhr.
That's through turn 6, Jeremy, and just hit that compression. The back end stepped out a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's kept it out of the wall, hasn't he, maybe?
Yes, I think he did. Here's another look at it. Here's the compression, pow. Yeah, and it just unloaded.
Yeah, he just got too wide on the exit, just trying to carry a bit too much speed through there. Got onto the, over the curbing on the exit of turn 6, and there's a bit of a drop off there into the sand and the dust. And once you get into that, then you're hanging on, because it's only good luck by which you're going to be able to save that. He wasn't able to save it. It did spin around, but thankfully no contact for Lucas Luhr.
Here's the onboard look for it, yeah.
Yeah, just carried in too much speed at the apex there. Perhaps turned in a fraction too soon, or was carrying a bit too much speed. Whatever, the end result was the same, a spin for Lucas Luhr.
And while that's happening, Dirk Werner to the top at a 1:22.423 in the 25 BMW. And that's a chunk, 2/10. That's just unheard of in this class right now. What a lap by Werner.
That's a fine effort by Dirk Werner. He and Bill Auberlin won the last round of this championship at Long Beach a couple of weeks ago. It was Bill Auberlin who put the car on a pole on that occasion, and now it's Dirk Werner trying to do the same in a number 25 BMW.
Has that dipped below the record from last year?
22.423, not quite. It was 22.373, so 0.05 of a second. That's all that stands between Dirk Werner and the GTLM class lap record for qualifying.
Well, does he do it here? Nope. That was a 22.7, so just a few tenths off of that 22.4 for Werner. So it's Werner. Luhr still hanging on to second. Both of the Corvettes coming in. Third would be Pilet in the number 911. Milner in the 4. Christensen in the 912. Garcia in the 3. Then Caffer in the 62. And Luhr's not done yet.
Tommy Milner, Michael Christensen, and Antonio Garcia all in the pit lane. So their sessions are done. With just 2 minutes remaining. Yeah. Lucas Luhr, though, he did stay out on track after that spin, and is now, see what he can do this time around, coming down the hill into the final couple of corners, carrying a lot of speed through the right-hander at turn 10.
I'm sure his excuse is, I had to clean off the tires. So let's see what we can do. Here he comes now, and there's still 1:45 on the clock.
Time for at least one more lap.
Exactly.
If he's got it in the tires.
Okay, that was a 25.1, so he might just here. Technically, he could get 2 in, couldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
The one he's on and one more.
Yep.
Here comes Werner. He's still going after it.
Don't know whether the team will want him to do 2 more hot laps.
Now Werner at 22.362, Jeremy.
Yes.
Record.
Yes.
Nice.
By 0.11 of a second. 22.373, the Corvette last year. Dirk Werner 22.362. What a great lap by the young German, Dirk Werner.
Well, I tell you, his chase at Long Beach, after they had the problems, that was an absolutely brilliant drive he put together.
Yeah, put himself in the position to win that race. It was looking like it was going to slip away from them at one stage, but no, Dirk Werner there really got the bit between his teeth and charged down and ended up winning the race for himself and Bill Oberlin. A big win again for Bill Oberlin, local driver down there, Redondo Beach, California, just a few miles away from the city of Long Beach.
Yeah, when he won there, was it the first time he won there a few years ago? At the party, the mayor showed up and gave him a key to the city, so I'm guessing he may have actually now could run for mayor.
Improvement there for Pierre Caffer, identical time to Lucas Luhr.
Unbelievable. Speaking of which, here comes Lucas into 11. No, that's Werner again, excuse me, into turn number 11 as the clock ticking down, 10, 9, 8, 7. He's going to get through. He could have one more if he wants it. See what he does. 22.9 that time as the checkered flag is out. So here comes Luhr is on one here.
Oops.
Ooh, drops the tire. I saw a little plume of smoke.
Yep.
Here he comes now up into 5. Don't know how much momentum that would have cost him.
I would say enough.
Yeah.
I would very much doubt he can put together a pole-winning lap here, but you never know, do you? He certainly hasn't given up the ghost yet.
Well, he dropped tires again going through turn 6. Gathered it up that time, so he's sure pushing it. Meanwhile, Werner continuing. He's on it.
No, I don't think he is.
So?
No, I think he's lifted off.
Well, that's true because he probably, they would have told him that.
You're right. He's carrying a lot of speed down through the corkscrew, isn't he? Pierre Caffer brings a Ferrari into pit lane. Yeah, okay.
I think he got word probably that Lucas had that moment.
Yeah, no improvement either for Lucas Luhr. He does bring the number 24 car into pit lane, but still, it's going to be a 1-2 for BMW Team RLL.
And a new track record, and our 15th different pole winners since this series started last year at Daytona. And look at Bill Oberlin for that car and that team's second straight pole.
Yeah.
They're very happy indeed.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's been a great performance last few weeks for this team.
Yeah.
Both the drivers now won themselves a pole position. They'll be thrilled with that.
And for Dirk, after that amazing drive in his second stint at Long Beach, to now back it up with this pole, well earned. That was a superb drive at Long Beach, and really they had a little issue. I mean, Bill had done a great stint to be sure. The Ferrari just out-dragged from third into the lead. Bill had a great stint, and then they had a little hiccup in the pit stop and dropped him well back. Boy, Dirk just put his head down, got up on the wheel, any other cliche you want to throw at it, and got himself, as you said, in position to make that move for the win when Coffer, and we must admit that, got hung up behind a prototype that ticked the wall in front of him. Blunted him a little bit, but nonetheless, that's good stuff. And there's Dirk Werner. If you're watching on the monitors with us here on IMSA Radio and enjoying that coverage, peeling that helmet off, and there is Shea Adam ready to step in. Shea?
Dirk Werner, great lap out there. Congratulations on a pole. Way to back up the win at Long Beach.
Yeah, I'm really happy, I have to say. This is a track I love to drive, and to be able to start from P1 tomorrow in the race is awesome, and thanks to the team. I mean, we made the car better every practice session, and we came up with a good plan for qualifying, worked out, and that shows how good the guys are. What they have in their mind very often works, most of the time I have to say, and great day for us. So we enjoy this day, and then tomorrow it's a new day.
For the second race in a row, the IH Rewards Club BMW will start from first.
Yeah, great story. And Jeremy, he's talking about that strategy, waiting a little bit, finding their gaps going out. Obviously, Lucas just had a couple of moments out there. He was very quick, to be sure, but Dirk executed that strategy extremely well and starts up front.
Yeah, it certainly does. It'll be interesting to hear what Lucas Luhr has to say for himself after making Apparently a couple of mistakes out there. Maybe the pressure on him a little bit there. He
That's
didn't
our
want to be
fault.
left behind.
It's our fault
Yeah,
from last
yeah,
night.
yeah, we told him
made
last
him guarantee.
But his teammate comes on through, because Dirk Werner, he's clearly thrilled with that pole position.
Oh, it should be. Yeah.
You know, one of the many drivers who absolutely loves racing here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. But a big sideways slide there for Lucas Luhr, the exit of turn 6, cost him, I think, any chance of the pole. That certainly would have taken the edge off the tyres, I would suggest. And what's interesting now is whether those tyres will be damaged enough to force him to start from the back of the field. You have to start the race on the same set of tyres in which you qualified, with one proviso. You're allowed to change one of those 4 tyres without any penalty. Anything more than that, and you go to the back for the start of the race.
And once again, those laps, second and third, Luhr in the BMW, Kaffer in the Ferrari, identical to the thousands, 1:22.610. That's just an indication of how close this class is. And that's, I mean, really, you take a look at it, what's that, about 3/10, less than 3/10 from Werner to the Luhr-Kaffer duo. That's a big chunk in this class.
Yeah, it is, particularly from second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh is, well, 0.2 of a second.
Yeah.
So, yeah, remarkable. A very great lap by Dirk Werner, no question about that. And how close is it behind the other BMW, then the Ferrari, Pierre Kaffer, then the 2 Porsches and the 2 Corvettes intermingled. The Porsche 911 Porsche Patrick Pilet ahead of the number 4 Corvette Tommy Milner, and then Michael Christensen in number 912 Porsche just ahead of Antonio Garcia. I mean, just fractions of a second between each of those cars.
Yeah, this is, as always, GT Le Mans does not disappoint. And then there was one, and it's the prototypes. Up there's the warm-up process, or the number 70, just getting the music going. You got to believe, is that I can't really tell. I think that's Bomarito.
I would imagine so. In his home.
I would bet against putting J-Bomb in the car to go out and qualify here at this track.
Yeah, home track. He did a good job this morning. They got some very competitive lap times this morning in that Mazda. But yesterday it was the number 70 car that had a problem and didn't get out in the second session yesterday. This morning we didn't see the 07 car out either.
Exactly.
So meanwhile, Jonathan Bomarito, he turned a lap of 1:21.066 this morning in the practice session. That's a couple and a half seconds away from the ultimate pace. But considering the fact, or 2 facts, first of all, the relative newness of that Mazda Skyactiv diesel program, and the fact that it's not exactly a massive budget operation, and they've done a really, really good job to develop that engine and get it to be pretty competitive.
It's getting lots of great shots and images here on our monitor of the onboard cameras looking at the drivers that will be going out here. Pretty focused eyes on one John Pugh. He knows he's got a steed that could certainly be up front here, but he's got some awfully good drivers that are going to be joining him out there in this one.
Michael Valianti there in the number 90 Spirit of Daytona. Visit Florida.com entry. That's the Coyote chassis, the Corvette DP bodywork and engine on that car. And Michael Valianti, he's had a lot of success here at Mazda Raceway in the past, so he'll be looking to have a good, strong performance here. That team has a trio of third-place finishes from the first 3 races of the season. As a result of that, they lie only 3 points out of the championship lead with 3 rounds in the books.
Yeah, I was talking to Richard Westbrook earlier in the weekend, and he said, you know, one, you look at where we are in the points compared to last year after those opening few rounds. He said, where we had huge issues and we're well out. He said, we're delighted with that. He goes, but we haven't had, you know, some of our runs haven't been exactly, problem-free, and we're still that well up in the points with 3/3. He said, we're just delighted. The problem had been, he said, that we just didn't have the speed, and we weren't sure what the issue was. We didn't have the speed of the Wayne Taylor cars and of the Action Express cars. Went and did a test at Buttonwillow, and he said, we're pretty convinced we figured it out. And aerodynamics so important. And he said it was a rake issue with the car, and it was creating a spill of aerodynamics, and we were getting drag. And he said once we got that sorted out, suddenly the thing just came alive on us. He said, so we're excited.
That's good to hear. Buttonwillow Raceway Park, about 3 hours south of here, down towards just before you get to Bakersfield. If you go over the other side of the mountain range and down the Central Valley, Buttonwillow, there's a track that a lot of SCCA club racing and NASA club racing goes on there, and it's become a pretty popular testing venue too for a lot of teams. Big
1 minute,
huge
by the way,
variety of track configurations at Buttonwillow you can run, and fast configurations, slow configurations, twisty bits, elevation change as well. Fun place to go.
Yeah, I actually went there, it was quite a few years ago with a friend of mine, and met another friend of ours who's also a corner worker. It was just a regional race weekend, and we had an open weekend, and we all met up, went there and just corner worked for 3 days. Had an absolute blast.
Yeah, good.
Great time there. Yeah, just good fun.
Quite a few races there in various different things, and F2000 cars are his vintage Formula Ford car, a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet that was.
Enjoy that place around there, yes.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Great
Fun
place
track.
to drive. They let us just go out and just
good.
drive around at the end of the day one day. Not nowhere near full race chat, but we were going, and it was a blast. I mean, you'd think just that flat area there, and it actually just a little dips and twists and stuff. It was a fun place to go. And we are green prototypes heading out onto the track. Our final group of qualifying here in preparation for tomorrow's Continental Tire Monterey Grand Prix, powered by Mazda here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. And they are heading out on track. Riding on board for the moment on our monitors with Michael Valiante in that VisitFlorida.com Racing Corvette DP.
Yes, it's going to be fun. The track record then set last year by Johannes van Overbeek, not here to defend that honour this weekend, but a 1:18.561. That compares to the fastest time this morning, 1:18.516 by Oz Negri Jr. So we've got lap local pace amongst the cars here, but it will, I believe, be John Pugh who will qualify the number 60 car today. And Michael Valiante and Richard Westbrook, they were second quickest this morning in that car number 90. And from second back to 6th place, those 5 cars covered by, well, less than half a second. So any one of those contenders, I suggest, could be on for a front row start here at worst.
Absolutely, and I'm wondering here too, this just nice cool day here in that 01 Ganassi with Felix Abades Ford EcoBoost Riley Turbo powered Riley DP that we just, as on cue, hop on board with here as we're watching on our monitors. That car could be strong in this session.
Yes.
Certainly the
two California drivers, Scott Pruitt and Jerry Hand, will share that car. They came away with a second place finish a couple of weeks ago on the streets of Long Beach. They would love nothing better than to come here to Northern California and leave with the victory.
The 2 Action Express cars, the number 5 of the points leaders, and then that 31 car carrying the Whelen colors of Cameron and Eric Kern. And that car, keep in mind, even though it doesn't have the big results at this stage in 2 of the 3 races that have unfolded so far, fast lap. So the car has speed, no question about that. And there it is. If you're watching with us here on IMSA Radio, our monitors pick those 2 Action Express cars up. This one should be fun. The sun getting a little lower in the sky, getting some shadows out there, a little less direct down onto the track. Track cools just a little bit. Tires like that. Again, a couple of laps, 3 laps to get the tires, get all of the components necessary warmed up to really go after it here. About 12 minutes in this session left to go. Here comes the Wayne Taylor machine down to complete.
Yeah, the Jordan and Ricky Taylor. It was Ricky Taylor who qualified the car on the pole at Long Beach a couple of weeks ago, and then his brother Jordan who brought it home to the victory. Great team effort it was by those two on the streets. And they're looking, certainly, they're in confident frame of mind right now, the 2 Taylor brothers, both of them. They're driving really, really well, at the top of their game, full of confidence, and they know they've got a good car.
Absolutely, and you know what they've overcome in the first couple of races to sort through the issues that they had early in the events, and then come back with a good solid run. Even though the one ended up with that driver time infraction, cost them dearly in terms of points, but certainly they were very strong in that race. But you look at Long Beach, and it just backed up everything. They unloaded fast, stayed fast, and won fast, and that does nothing but make you grin coming into the next round.
Yeah, quite particularly with a good second place run at Sebring as well. So you know that first to the second allied to the 16th place at Daytona. They're now only 11 points out of the championship lead. So they're in 4th place coming into this weekend. Joe Barbosa and Christian Fittipaldi lead, tied on 96 points, driving of that number 5 car.
Eric Curran now goes to the top in the 31 Action Express car at 22.12. Pruitt comes through now at a 20.145, a 1 minute 20.145. Jordan Taylor, a 1:19.809 for Jordan in the number 10.
First guy below 1 minute 20. We saw 6 cars up below 1 minute 20 this morning in the final practice session. So times have certainly been coming down over the weekend. The team's getting more comfortable here, getting their cars dialed in to the track, and there's Jordan Taylor carrying a lot of speed here through turn 4. There's John Pugh, 22.7 on his second flying lap.
Yeah, Fittipaldi right now at a 22.7 as well.
It was Christian Fittipaldi driving the car towards the end of this morning's session, that car number 5, the championship leading car, and finally towards the end of that session they turned some good laps here. Ended up being the 5th fastest on the charts. Certainly not where we would expect that car to be, but I think in some ways Long Beach a bit of a wake-up call for them, because they qualified pretty well, and then they got themselves beaten in the race. Ended up with a 5th place finish, which certainly wasn't what they expected going in there. And it was a youngster, that Dane Cameron, who really kind of took it to him in the late stages. Eric Curran in number 31 car, the sister car, the Wheeling engineering machine, really did a fine job in the race to save fuel through the opening stint, and that allowed Dane Cameron to really push hard in the latter stages, able to get past the number 5 car and come home with a 4th place finish.
And now we're into the 118s, or at least one car is, and it's the number 10, Jordan Taylor, at a 1 minute 18.966. Pruitt at a 1:19.51 in the second spot. Valiante third at a 1:20.190. Christian Fittipaldi at a 1:20.568 for 4th. John Pugh at a 1:21.2 for 5th right now. And Curran in the 6th spot at a 1:21.504. But now we're in that window. And Scott Pruitt up into the corkscrew. Oh, using every bit of curve, straightening it out as much as you can when you're falling off a cliff.
Good lap by Jordan Taylor, 18.966. So it's a bit quicker than they went yesterday to turn a 19.036 in the second practice yesterday. Weren't quite as quick this morning.
Now let's see what Scott Pruitt has in hand here. A 1:19.5, best lap so far.
1:19.7 for Michael Valiante, 3rd place now for the number 90 car. Christian Fittipaldi 4th. No improvement that time for Jordan Taylor. Slowed down a little bit, 1:22. Just give the tyres a little bit of a breather and then push on hard once more.
John Pugh dips into the 120s at a 1:20.545. Good lap for John at this stage of things.
Yeah, very good effort there by John Pugh. He was turning a couple of laps this morning in a very low 1 minute 20 range.
On board with him right now. And this category, the prototype category, is known as a pro category. And John Pugh, it's the Truman and Aiken category for a driver that runs in one of the pro classes that isn't a full-on, makes his living as a professional driver. And that would be John Pugh, but he is awfully good for and I use the term advisedly, non-professional driver. And it's good stuff here. Boy, you got a little battle going on here as Curran with Michael Valiante right behind him coming out of the 11th turn and down the front straight. Pruitt to the top at a 1:18.940. Taylor takes it right back at a 1:18.718. Jordan Taylor for Wayne Taylor Racing. So Pruitt right back into the second spot here, and Catherine Legg in the Delta Wing has got a 1:21 flat, a 1:21.017, and now sits in the sixth spot. Great lap.
Yeah, they've had some problems again this weekend with the Delta Wing, but Catherine Legg currently 6th on the charts. That was a great lap, certainly by Jordan Taylor, 18.718, within a 1/10 and a half now of the track records last year by Johannes van Overbeek.
Yeah, 1:18.7, a 1:18.940 for Pruitt. And those two right now, big gap. I mean, what, 0.8 of a second clear of everybody else right now. Now, let's see here. We still have time left in the session.
From Tristan Nunez. It was Tristan Nunez, not Jonathan Bomarito.
Yeah, it was Nunez.
Driving the number 70 car. Tristan Nunez 7th now, ahead of Eric Curran, a 20.957 as Catherine Legg improves ahead of him to 1:20.504. John Pugh 20.080. They're in car number 60, goes 5th fastest.
It's a great lap now. Here comes Pruitt. See what he has. And nope, he was taking it easy on that lap. And we'll see if he is now ready to throw down another flyer here. So it's still Jordan Taylor over Scott Pruitt, Michael Valiante, and Christian Fittipaldi, then John Pugh. That's your top 5. Catherine Legg, Eric Curran, Tristan Nunez, and Tom Long in the 8th and 9th spots.
20.9 there for Tristan Nunez, a tad quicker than Jonathan Bomarito went this morning in at number 70 car. So down below 1:21, that's a good effort. Just a couple of seconds off the ultimate pace here by the youngster there in car number 70. 19 years old of age, Tristan Nunez from Boca Raton in Florida. Former champion in the IMSA Prototype Lights, the Coupetage Prototype Lights Championship powered by Mazda.
We've got our monitors and our eyes on Scott Pruitt right now in the Ford EcoBoost Riley. Down into turn number 11. He's got a car in front of him. Couldn't figure out quite who it was. Not far enough, or not close enough, I don't think, to have much of an impact here. Let's see what Pruitt does this time through. A 1:19.6, so a little bit off that 1:18.9 that he had couple of laps back. Still Taylor's 1:18.718. Hanging on, Jeremy.
Yeah, it is by what, a couple of 1/10 of a second over Scott Pruitt. Michael Valiante there in the 3rd place, another less than 2/10 behind. Actually, no, not less than 2/10 behind. The scoring's wrong there. He's about a second off the ultimate pace, Michael Valiante, and he is just a 1/10 of a second ahead of Christian Fittipaldi. So it's a number 10 car, the 01, the 90, the 5 car, Christian Fittipaldi, number 60 of John Pugh, and then Catherine Legg in the number 0 Delta Wing.
Inside our last 3 minutes of the day here for TUDOR United Sports Car Championship qualifying.
A good lap from Tom Long in the 07 Skyactiv diesel Mazda, 1:21.1, so within a couple of 1/10 of Tristan Nunez, and both of those two just within a half a second or so of both Catherine Legg and Eric Curran. Catherine Legg brings the Delta Wing into the pit, so her qualifying session done. Just over 2 minutes remaining, so there's still certainly time. There's improvement there for Michael Valiante. 1:19.448, 9th time around for Michael Valiante in that car number 90. He improves his time, but not his position.
Christian Fittipaldi into the 1:19s too now. At a he did that a couple of laps back at a 19.894, good for 4th. And then Pugh, then Legg, then Curran.
And the two Mazdas battling amongst themselves, and 1:20.9 for Tristan Nunez, 1:21.1 for Tom Long.
And Jordan Taylor up through turn 5. Seems to be on it rather strongly, and in front of him is Eric Curran in the 31 Action Express car.
A 20.6, the best turned by Eric Curran. If he can just find a tenth of a second, he can move himself ahead, perhaps, of Catherine Legg.
Jordan now is backed out of it, not pushing very hard, I don't believe, at this stage. And I think he realized that he needed a little bit of room if he wanted to get one more in here. Back to Curran. Look there at Wayne Taylor and son Ricky watching with great interest as we're into our final minute, Jeremy. Last minute here, Curran watching for his time, no improvement there.
John Pugh does improve.
Wow, nice.
19.651 for John Pugh in kind of a 6. That moves him up into the 4th place ahead of our championship leader, Christian Fittipaldi.
Scott Pruitt now really hammering it down into the Andretti hairpin, and the car actually did a little flat slide down there. So he's pushing. Now he'll know whether or not that little slide cost him anything realistic at this point. And we'll see what he does, but John Pugh is going after it right now.
He is indeed. They're inside the final half, inside the final 15 seconds now in this session, so these laps will count, and anybody else who comes across the line will still perhaps have the opportunity to do one more lap. I don't think that will be the case, though, for the Action Express car. Christian Fittipaldi comes down the hill now, and time is ticking away. Out comes now the checkered flag.
So this lap is it for Fittipaldi. Out of turn 11, onto the front straight, chased by Michael Valiante. Fittipaldi, no. Valiante improves, no, or does he?
Yeah.
Just by a tenth he missed.
Yeah, very close there, Michael Valiante. 119.5. He'd already turned a 119.448 here. No, is that Scott Pruitt coming off that final corner?
Boy, he's pushing hard.
Pushing that Ford EcoBoost Turbo across the line he goes.
Oof.
Oh, very, very close. 19.094. So again, just a tenth of a second off his ultimate best.
And that's it. We get the report from scoring. The last car has seen the checker. So for the second straight race, it is the Wayne Taylor Racing Corvette DP on the pole. Ricky Taylor doing it. Their first pole in 17 races at Long Beach.
Yeah.
And now they get a second straight pole in the hands of Jordan Taylor.
2 in a row then for the Jordan brothers. Shared amongst them as well. So Dad, Wayne, will be absolutely thrilled with that. He was over the moon to see Ricky on the pole at Long Beach a couple of weeks ago, primarily because it ended that long drought. But now he'll be equally thrilled for Jordan Taylor. Great effort again by Jordan, a 118.718. Not quite enough to take away the track record here in qualifying, but still a fine effort by the youngster.
Yeah, absolutely. Taylor, Pruitt, Valiante, Pugh, and Christian Fittipaldi with the Delta Wing in the top 6. Nice run there by Catherine Legg. And I think Shea Adam is ready with Jordan Taylor.
Jordan, that was a great lap by you, and it's funny, it's Long Beach all over again, except it's reversed this time. At Long Beach, it was the other driver in the BMW, and today it's you instead of Ricky getting pole. Congratulations. Is that a monkey off your back?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a while since I qualified, and last year when I qualified, I didn't go so well, so we knew we had a strong car here, and I knew it was a pole car, so I knew if I didn't get the pole, then it would have been disappointed, so I'm happy to get it. It was closer than we thought. The 01 pulled it out like they did at Long Beach, so they've got some qualifying pace, but hopefully we can kind of do the same thing we did at Long Beach and, you know, lead from the front and, you know, kind of dictate the race.
It's a pole car, but is it a wing car?
I think so. I mean, we did a lot of work in practice on separating the two cars. I mean, we got different setups for both sessions, so we worked on the race car with Ricky because he's going to be in it for longer, and, you know, I think the qualifying car was good. It wasn't as easy as I thought it was to drive, but thankfully we got the pole, and hopefully we can have a good race.
Congratulations.
Thanks.